been a lot of talk about upcycling materials lately, making something useful out of trash. Now, you can make skateboards out of plastic bins or handbags out of juice boxes. But what do you make out of old car parts? These are mainly made of metal. To find out, I'm heading over to Blenheim Forge in Peckham, London.
Benz Forge are knife makers, so we produce kitchen knives, generally using high-carbon Japanese steel. Me and John and Rich are just old friends who weren't particularly interested in knives. I was more interested in the making process and the laminating and the sort of folding techniques that I'd seen on YouTube and stuff.
We want to make a knife out of this leaf spring that comes from an old Mercedes-Benz van. James, tell me, why the leaf spring? Why is it suitable for forging?
So this steel's made out of a spring steel, which means it contains carbon.
And that's what we need for a good edge?
Yeah, the carbon helps create a hardenable steel, so later down the line, we'll heat treat it, where we heat the steel up to a certain temperature and cool it very rapidly.
Okay.
And the carbon and the steel sort of create a structure that's very hard. So now we need to clean off all the rust. Now it's ready to chop into smaller sections and we'll stack it up. This is another type of carbon steel. It contains a little bit more nickel, which will give a nice contrast to the final piece, because we're going to take these two steels and then fuse them together. So now we put the billet into the forge. We need to keep it moving around so it heats up evenly. And when it reaches about 800, so it's just beginning to glow sort of orange, we're going to sprinkle borax onto it.
Okay.
This is going to stop it from oxidizing.
It can oxidize from heat?
Yeah, if it's in a hot environment with oxygen, it will begin to form scale, which is the black crispy stuff that you see falling off it. So now the billet's been drawn out to a suitable thickness. We're going to put it into the hydraulic press and cut through almost all the way through the steel. Okay. So it's thin enough for us to fold back on itself to take the layers up to 16. And after that, we'll go back to the power hammer, forge it out, and repeat the folding process 3 more times. So now it's at the right thickness, we're going to start to actually forge the shape of the blade.
Started off with 8 layers and now we've got 128. What are we going to do next?
So the next stage is to harden the steel. So we're going to heat it up to a certain temperature and then quench it in oil. And that's going to alter the grain structure within the steel and harden it.
And now the moment we've all been waiting for, when what right now is just a shiny steel blade is immersed in this nitric acid bath. Now we can actually see the individual components. The dark side, our original leaf spring. The light side was the other steel that we put in between that had a higher nickel content. So there you have it. An ancient tradition well over 1,000 years old, which hasn't been topped by the greatest of industries still in the world today.